Hey guys, Mike back here with another video. Today we'll be talking about something a little bit different than normal, an investment strategy that you might not have actually heard about. Today we're going to be talking about Pokemon cards, and are they a good investment, and should you invest in Pokemon cards? So just a quick disclaimer here, this is not legal, tax, or financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Make sure you do your own homework and do your own research before investing in anything with your own money. Let me know down below in the comments what you think about Pokemon cards, what your experience has been with Pokemon cards, and if you'd be willing to invest in this. So you're probably thinking, what's up with Pokemon cards? Why is everyone suddenly talking about them, from Logan Paul to other YouTubers? If you haven't noticed, Pokemon cards have just been blowing up on YouTube, especially with influencers and people trying to make money off of them and reselling them and opening packs online and showcasing, their $50,000 cards and their $100,000 cards. So in this video, we'll actually go over what the heck is going on with Pokemon cards, if they're actually a good investment, and why you should or should not invest in Pokemon. I personally am super interested in this video because I've grown up with Pokemon cards. I memorized all 151 original Pokemon. And you can ask my mom. I would buy booster packs, and I would buy the Game Boy Color game, and I would play Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue all day long. So I am personally very excited about today's topic. So before we dive into these investments, you've probably seen a bunch of numbers thrown out there, from a few $100 Pokemon cards to all the way up to $150,000 that Logan Paul paid. Let's actually take a step back. Let's set some context and understand how these cards are even valued. So first up, we have three criteria for how they're valued: rarity, condition, and popularity. So the first of the criteria, rarity, can basically be broken down into three categories. You have first edition, which is denoted by a little tiny first edition symbol on the left-hand side. You have shadowless, which means that it does not have a shadow and it came right after the first edition set of cards. And then you have non-shadow, which comes basically after the shadowless cards and is the most common out of all three. To note here, all three are pretty rare and can be worth a lot depending on your card, but generally first edition is the most rare and has the most premium price. Shadowless is the second most rare and still commands a decent price, and the non-shadow is the most common, but again can still fetch a good price. Next we have condition, and so this one can get a little bit confusing, but essentially it's the condition of the card, if it's in good condition, if it has any nicks or bends or anything like that. There's two main systems of grading. You have PSA and BGS. And without getting too technical into these details, it's graded from a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most pristine. There are no nicks, no scratches, no bends at all. And generally PSA 10s and BGS 10s are very hard and very rare to come by because they have to be in the most pristine condition. For context, a little tiny nick, just a little tiny little nick of white in the corner can drop the grading down from a 10 to a 9 or a 9.5 and can cost you thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. And then last on the scale is popularity. So with rarity and with condition, it doesn't really matter if you don't have a very popular card. So for example, the Charizard is way more popular than, say, a Chansey or an Alakazam. So we have these three criteria: rarity, condition, and popularity of the card. And this ultimately will add up to the value of the card and what people are willing to pay for this card. So next, let's get into the market values a little bit. Let's try to understand what's going on in the market and where the market is going. So for a little bit of context, we have base set boxes. And this is kind of the bread and butter of the influencer or YouTube segment right now, because you can actually open the packs and do kind of a live stream with them. Back in the day, in 1999, these retailed for about 50 bucks. Now they're worth over $10,000, in some cases over $100,000, like as you've seen in Logan Paul's video where he's opened first edition boxes. So this first edition box, we can actually take a look at a website that gives us the value over time. And we can see in the last 4 years, the prices actually went from about $13,000 to now $222,000. That is a 1,600% increase over the last 4 years. To give you a comparison, that is way better of a return than Google or Amazon over the same time period. So these base set boxes have increased a lot in value. And just taking a look at some of the cards that could come out of these base set boxes, you have PSA 9 and PSA 10 Charizards. There's a PSA 9 Charizard going on eBay right now for about $7,000 and a PSA 10 Charizard for going about $40,000. And so now you're probably wondering, why is this Charizard worth so much less than Logan Paul's Charizard, which he bought for $150,000? It's mainly because this Charizard is the non-shadow. So remember, going back to how we set the rarity of the card, first edition and shadowless are generally the most rare of cards, and the non-shadow is the most common. And so we actually see this Charizard is a non-shadow. So it's in great condition, it's a very popular card, but it's not the most rare card. And so that's where we get back to the market value. A lot of it's down to rarity at this point, because these boxes and these cards and these packs, they're not being sold or manufactured anymore. Whatever's on the market is on the market. And as we see a lot of these YouTubers, as we see a lot of people gain more interest, we're gonna see a lot of these packs being opened. We're gonna see a lot of these cards being kept and taken off the market. So a lot of the market value right now is very heavily being driven by rarity and the hard to obtain nature of some of these packs and of some of these cards. And again, once you consume these packs, once you open them, they're gone forever. And Pokemon, they're not manufacturing any more of these cards or any more of these packs. And taking a look at this website called PokemonPrice.com, we can actually see some of the lesser cards that are still pretty rare have increased on the scale of hundreds to 600%. So we can actually look at some of these cards. We see, a Rayquaza, we see Pikachu movie promos, we see different types of Charizards and different types of cards. And we actually see that, there still is a decent amount of change, even in the low end of the cards, from the hundreds to low thousands of dollars of cards. And so we can see that these cards, even though they're not worth, the 50,000, the 100,000 cards that we've seen with the Charizards and the booster sets, there still is some movement and some pretty good movement in the last 60 days. So some of these cards are increasing on the scale of, hundreds of percents, which is pretty good compared to some of the stocks that I've seen in the last 60 days. So then I think the question ultimately comes down to, is this a good investment? We've taken a look at how to value some of these cards. We've taken a look at some of the market trends and the returns on investment. So now this comes down to, is it a good investment? My gut feeling is probably not a good investment, and I'll tell you why. I really believe that you have to know your Pokemon cards, and you have to know your Pokemon too. If you don't understand the difference between a Chansey and a Charizard and a Pikachu and a Squirtle, you're definitely not going to do well in this game. On top of that, you have to know how cards are valued. So this is not even just Pokemon cards, but there's other types of cards too, like baseball cards and football cards and Magic the Gathering cards. How you treat these cards and how you value them and how you collect them and how you kind of sell them too is all very much within the hobby realm. It's still kind of a very niche topic. I think for all those reasons, it's a great hobby to have, and it's a great full-time hobby to have that you could even make some money off of, but I think it's very hard. On top of that, it's very low volume, meaning that it's hard to sell. If you want to sell your Charizard for $10,000, you probably might not even find a buyer within your local area. Just looking at Logan Paul's video, he had to fly all the way to Las Vegas just to find this guy who had the Charizard that he was looking for. On top of that, I don't really think there's too much intrinsic value in this card or this piece of cardboard with, a few pictures and some print on it. People don't really play the Pokemon card game anymore. It's mainly just for collectibles. And so because of that, I don't think there's much intrinsic value. I think there's a lot of emotional value, but that can only get you so far in a card game. And then lastly, I do think it's very trend-based. So now it's very much in everyone's mindset. It's very hip. It's very on topic for these Pokemon cards. But I think there's a high risk that this dies down in, the foreseeable future. Again, these packs, once they're consumed, they're consumed. People are streaming themselves and taking videos of themselves opening these packs. But what happens when there's really no more packs to open anymore because everything is gone, and again, Pokemon isn't manufacturing these packs. They're not manufacturing these cards anymore. So I think it's very trend based. And if you're an influencer like Logan Paul who can get a bunch of people excited about a card game, then I think you might have a shot at making this a decent investment, because then you can make this top of mind for a large audience with a video like that. If you're just a regular person like you or I think this trends-based card investment is a little too high risk and a little too hard for us to time properly. And so for those reasons, I don't really think this is a good investment for the average person. And with that, we kind of wrap up our look at Pokemon cards, how we value them, what the market has been doing, and do we ultimately recommend it as a solid investment? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. After knowing this, would you still invest in Pokemon cards? And if you do invest in Pokemon cards, let me know. How much money have you made? Thanks guys, and remember, make sure you understand the product before you do the investment. See you guys.